What's happening, folks? Back with another reaction, back with some more Sarah McLachlan, and we're now moving at long last to the live version of Afterglow. So I looked it up. Afterglow was I think her fifth studio album. It comes from 2003. I'm assuming this live version is at least a little bit later, if not a year or more. And yes, as far as I know, I haven't heard any of the album tracks originally, meaning, number one, these should all be new songs to me. Secondarily, I won't have any context for how different from or similar to the studio versions these performances will be. Nevertheless, I really have enjoyed her music as we went through Fumbling Towards Ecstasy. Thank you again to Michaela. And yeah, I'm just keen to hear more of her music, and it'll be interesting to hear her in a live performance context, not only because it'll give a sense of, whether she has a rapport with the audience, but also, what type of audience response these different songs will get. And perhaps at some point I can go through the album proper. But yes, the first tune in this live version, which I'm guessing the arrangement or chronology of the songs is the same as on the studio album, whether or not they were played in that order exactly at the concert. Now maybe I'm wrong, maybe this is the Afterglow album done live, but perhaps rearranged or performed in a different order. Nevertheless, the first tune on Afterglow Live is Fallen, so it makes me think of fallen in a more metaphorical sense, the idea of someone who's lost their way, maybe become immoral or at least amoral. Now, of course, it could be both a visual image of someone who's fallen, down a slope or fallen to the bottom of a cliff or is deep within a valley and needs help getting out. But as I said, I tend to be inclined to think that it will be a conceptual or metaphorical usage. I'll see what I can catch on a first listen. This is Sarah McLachlan. The song is Fallen, and it's the first tune on the Afterglow live album.
slip before you know it. And it doesn't seem a way to be. No, I've tried.
love it. It's very her style, this sort of indie art rock type of vibe. Now, her vocals, again, very distinct. As I learned after only 2 or 3 songs, going through Fumbling Towards Ecstasy, she has a very identifiable voice. It's the kind of voice that once you hear it a few times, you likely wouldn't mistake it for anyone else. And the way she has that, you wouldn't call it yodeling, you wouldn't call it, I'm not sure how to characterize it, but it has that waver, it has that melodic quiver to it, which very much works. Like, it has a very compelling sound, but yes, I just don't know what verb to describe it with beyond those I have attempted, which neither of which feel quite right. But yes, I like the way she does that. And so in a live setting, not that it would necessarily be any different, but you do wonder sometimes, how many tries it might take to get something like that right, where it feels like a bit more imprecise. But I suppose if you have the control or you know exactly what your voice can do, then maybe it's just as easy to create in a live setting. But I was curious about whether there would be a lot of those or maybe only once or twice, but it was pretty much throughout the song. And yeah, like, I didn't hear everything clearly, but it does sound like we're talking about, having fallen after going through difficulties, and I wondered if it was like her going through the difficulties or maybe like her making life difficult for somebody else. I think it was like her, maybe there's a bit of both, or maybe it's like, about needing someone's help, because there was a line about like, reaching out your hand or something like that. So yeah, it sounds like Fallen is about, enduring or persisting in the face of setbacks or being knocked down or struggles and difficulties. But yeah, the feeling of the song overall was hopeful. It felt like there was I'm still here, I'm still persisting despite having fallen. So maybe I'm reading it wrong, maybe, there's some crucial words or phrases that I didn't pick up on. But yeah, again, I enjoy the overall atmosphere. The guitar was nice. There were a couple flourishes, especially right at the end when it was sort of doing this bluesy kind of flourish. So yeah, a cool song sonically, and I do wonder, again, if it's more or less the same as the studio version, or if there is some embellishment or notable difference in terms of, the sequencing or the arrangement or something. So either way, looking forward to the rest of this live album. Thank you again to Yvonne. Thank you again to Michaela for Fumbling Towards Ecstasy, and all those who've been following the Sarah journey. I should point out, Yvonne also gave me a Sarah McLachlan remixed album, and I know I reacted to the Junkie XL remix of World on Fire, but yes, we've got more Sarah remixes coming a bit down the line, so we'll look forward to that too. Let me know what you think, and I will see you next time. Peace.